Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So we're gonna do today's video as our favorite as our favorite post-apocalyptic. So we have a lot. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Okay.
The chickens are gone, but the cat is back.
The chickens are gone, but the cat is back. Yes. Okay, so what do they need to know at home?
All right. Well, please hit that subscribe button. We are doing our giveaway with Laura L.M. Holleran for a signed copy of First Verse. So make sure that you go over and check out. Oops.
Say nothing. What? Hey.
Really wants to watch off camera.
Okay.
She just turned it back on. Anyway. Noelle and I were trying to watch the off-campus series, and Jessica interrupted us, and Noelle is apparently not happy. So go check out our post on Instagram with LM Holleran so you can show a screenshot of that you subscribe to us and follow her, and you'll be entered to win the signed copy. We're very excited about that. You can check out our Amazon store linked below as a way to support us, and we're getting very close to our channel membership. And again, there will not be any hidden videos from viewers. Our videos will stay free.
Yes.
We will have other perks for channel membership.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So because we're going over our favorites, we're just going to stay on camera together. Like we've done for our other favorites. What was that?
I was not aware of this.
This is what we're doing, just like the other ones that we've done of our favorites. So I think I have 10. You have less than that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, we're just going to dive in and go until we run out. How about that?
Okay.
Did you order yours at all?
No.
Okay, good. In no particular order. Let's dive in. So our favorite post-apocalyptic. So the first one I have is Lord of Population.
Never heard of it.
This is sci-fi post-apocalyptic. I have talked about it before. This is by Elizabeth Stevens. This is about Abel and Cain. So Abel is our heroine, and obviously the apocalypse has happened. And it happened because aliens came to this planet, and they're really big, and they're just ruining everything, and they want to reign on our planet. And so she's trying to survive with her best friend's little girl. And something happens one day when they're scavenging, and the little girl gets taken, and there's a fight that breaks out on the street while they're trying to get away from the situation. And that is where she meets Cain. He is one of these aliens. He is fighting with these other aliens, and she thinks he's died, like gone. And so she takes something that belongs to him and she runs. Well, later that night, she realizes he's not dead. He's back. Very hate to love. But I really did enjoy it. It took me a hot minute to get into it, but once I did, I was in love with it. What are we doing?
Well, Noelle is really angry that you won't let her continue watching off campus, and so she is trying to eat the flags and pull them out of my books.
Oh, no, well.
She has to go take a break.
Noelle is now in timeout. Got it.
Well, if you would have just let her watch her show, she was very content.
Sorry, we have some recording to do.
Okay. Well, my first post-apocalyptic rec probably will not be a shock, and that is Lost Song by Claire Kent. We'll see Claire Kent appear a few times in my list because I love this post-apocalyptic world. So in this, we have Kat and Micah. Kat was married to her high school boyfriend, and they lived in like this Airstream out in the woods, and they were doing okay for themselves considering it was the post-apocalyptic world, right? And he decides that he doesn't want to do that anymore, and he leaves her there. And she has been living by herself with her dog for, I think it's been a couple of years. When Michael stumbles into her camp, and she comes back and finds this man he's dying. He's been shot and he's dying. And so she very reluctantly is kind of like, oh, great, I guess I have to help you type situation. So she starts to nurse him back to health. And she kind of realizes that maybe she's missing the connection of somebody, but she's still very, very guarded and very, very independent. And I just loved it so much. It's not a very long one. Most of her books are pretty quick, so it's really easy to get sucked in, and then you're left wanting more, and then you have to devour the entire series.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Loved it.
So the next book I have, I know I own it. I'm pissed I can't find it. It's somewhere. I want to blame my husband for it, even though he never touches my books. But this is Praying for Rain by B.B. Easton. She did retitle this a couple of years ago, so the copy I have is actually the Praying for Rain copy, but she retitled it as Bad Boys Don't Die. So if you can't find it, it's a trilogy. If you can't find it under Praying for Rain, that is what you will find it under. There is audio for these books. I read this back in 2021. So I remember it, but I don't remember everything. But what I do remember is that our heroine's name is Rainbow, but she goes by Rain. And in this post-apocalyptic world, the post hasn't quite happened. We're literally in the middle of the apocalypse. Everybody for the past, I think it was like 3 months, has been, or maybe for the past year or whatever, every person on the planet has been having this dream, this reoccurring dream, that the world is ending on April 23rd, to the point that it has been announced that the world is ending on April 23rd. And so, like, the world has been thrown into chaos. We are 3 days out. We're on April 20th from this happening when the book starts. And Rain is self-medicating with hydrocodone, as you would, as one would at that point in time. The world has just literally gone into chaos. And so we see Wes, who is our bad boy, and he has come back into town. Now he, like, for Rain, she's just ready for the end of the world to happen. She's ready for this to be over with. It's hoping to start a new life, like hoping that she'll get reborn or something will happen. And then you've got Wes, who is determined to survive. And so he, but he needs a little help to do that. He knows that there's a bunker in this town somewhere, and he is going to find it. And so he sees Rain with her drugs at a I think she's at a fast food restaurant after he comes back into town, and then he kidnaps her, and then they go through this together. So it's a trilogy. It's great. Yummy.
Okay. Well, next up, I have Sky is a Fire by Lindsay Pogue. This is part of the Surviving Earth Chronicles that she wrote with Kay Webster. So in this time, we have earthquakes are happening, volcanoes are going off, sinkholes, like the world is just kind of turning on itself, basically. So there's like, it's just bad. And they live in Texas. And Ava is alone and she really needs her medication to survive. Knox and her do not like each other. That's explained a little bit more in the story. I'll let you guys read it so you can find all that out for yourself. But he desperately is in need of some supplies, and the two of them end up in a situation where there's more earthquakes and things are going downhill very quickly, and they end up kind of stuck together, and they decide to try and get out together and make it somewhere else. And so this is kind of the two of them not liking each other and their journey to get to some sort of safety in a world that is very not safe. Like Mother Nature is really, really wreaking havoc on the planet.
Okay. Good.
I'm good.
Well, the next one I have is a series. It is a 7-book series. They're all on audio. Books 1 through 6 are about the same couple, and then book 7 is about someone else. And I think there's even more spin-offs after that. I just hadn't got to them. So
I should look that up for my next book.
This is Broken World by Kate L. Mary. This is a zombie apocalypse. And in this book, we have Vivian and Axel is who the book starts out with. About, we do have a lot of side characters that come in, and a lot of other people that get like little love stories along those same lines as these two. But like literally, nobody is safe. Nobody. Don't get attached to anybody. So Vivian she has given her daughter up for adoption at birth, and now the world is ending. People are dying. There's an illness that is making people die, and the world has gone into like complete shutdown at this point. Like it's all martial law. It's crazy. She wants to see her baby girl that she gave up for adoption one more time before she dies. And so she gets in her car and she starts traveling from either the Midwest or the East Coast. to California. That's where she believes her daughter is. And so I think it must have been an open adoption because she knows where her daughter is. And so she along the way her car breaks down, and that is where she meets Axel and his brother. And they're like complete rednecks, and they offer to give her a ride. And this is when all shit just hits the fan. It just hits the fan from day one, and nobody's safe, and we just keep going and going and going in the zombie apocalypse. Loved it. I loved the whole series. I couldn't put it down. I was reading this while we were reading the DNF series, and I was just trying to get through the DNF series so that I could go back to these books. And I remember camping too while I was doing it, and like it like consumed me for days. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, my next one is a 6-book series, and it's the After the Plague series, and this is by Imogen Keeper. What?
Here, I have that for you. I pulled it to hold up for you.
Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so the first book is called Broken. You do need to read them in order, and it follows the same couple throughout the whole thing. So in this, at the beginning, we find out that about 80% or more of the world has been infected or affected by this plague that's going around, and people are dying. And Frankie and her husband Jimmy, like Frankie's just lived a really great life basically with her husband Jimmy. He's the love of her life. He takes care of her. She's an artist, and she gets to kind of do her art stuff, and life has just been really good. And then Jimmy gets sick, and Jimmy dies, and it is heartbreaking. Even though it's at the very beginning of the story, Imogen does such a great job of making you feel all of those emotions, and it's just heartbreaking. And now not only is she on her own, she's not used to being on her own, and so she doesn't really know how to survive, if she even wants to go on. And she meets this dog, I guess, kind of finds her. I guess she doesn't really meet the dog. This dog finds her Beast, and so she follows him and discovers a little boy, Auden, who is by himself. His parents have passed away, and so now she has this little boy to try to live for. And there's this guy kind of lurking around that she's seen a little bit, and that is York. And then the 3 or 4 of them, if you count Beast, are going to have to try and figure out a way out of the city, but there's really no safe passageway. So, in most post-apocalyptic worlds, the problem that these people face isn't necessarily like the zombies. There's no zombies in this one, but it's not like the plague or the zombies. It's humanity basically going and people turning on each other. So there's a lot of things that they have to work through to try and get out of the city, to try and find some sort of safety and food and resources. So
yeah,
great. I've only read the first 3. She actually has it broken into like 2 trilogies basically. So it's the first
and it's
trilogy.
not done.
It is. Book 6 says it's the final installment.
When I was looking, it didn't.
It says it right there.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, it says it's the final installment.
Okay, because I got through 5. I just haven't done 6. And when I was looking, I saw a review where it said it was open ended. So let's hope. Let's
Not
hope.
what it says, but
okay.
Okay.
Well, maybe I'll read that one so that we know for sure. Because okay. Well, the next one that I have is the Alpha Awakens. And this is by Anna Fury. So this one is post-apocalyptic, but we also get some Omegaverse stuff happening. It's very small. We do get some Omegaverse stuff happening. And that is because in this world, this is the first book in her Alpha Compound series. In this world, there is an illness that has affected the men, and it'll hit men. It like a guy. It doesn't affect the women, it seems. And the government comes in and sweeps these people away immediately. But these guys like go into a rage basically, and they call that the awakening. Well, at least the awakened guys call it the awakening. So this is about Mallory. She's a reporter. She goes by Mal, and her best friend live in the same apartment building. Mallory's brother was taken away when this hit him, and they get very violent, and they get a high fever. There's all these things that happen to them, and so she doesn't know what happened to her brother. She says that the government stepped in and took him away. Well, she's going to the grocery store, I think one day. Like the women, like they travel in packs, they travel in groups because these people are out there still, and she's coming home one evening and she can sense that there's this other person, this guy who's been following her, and he's one who has been sick, and so he's huge because they like get really big and very violent, these guys. And he comes up behind her when she's on her doorstep getting ready to go into her apartment building, and this other guy chases him away, and she realizes the other guy who chased him away is this huge guy as well. Well, she ends up having an interaction with him. He ends up coming to her apartment later that night. He can smell her. He knows that's his mate. He can smell her. She doesn't know what's going on, but that is where Orion comes in. Orion comes into her apartment, and he's like, look, it's not what you think. We don't become crazy. We just become alphas. Like, it's just they're changing. And so in a way, he ends up convincing her to come out to the compound that he lives on with a handful of other guys who have awakened, who've had this virus, and to report about them for 2 weeks so that the world will understand what is happening to these guys. It is not that they're becoming violent, horrible criminals. It is that they're just, their DNA is changing. And so I loved this whole series. I want to tell you, it was good. Each book is a different character.
Okay. Well, next, I have Last Light by Claire Kent.
Okay.
So in this might, Lost Song and Last Light might be my favorites, but then I'll probably say that a few more times. But I just love this world so much. So in this, we have Lane. Lane is trying to make her way to Fort Knox. So she was living in a community. This is after
Keep talking.
Impact. What?
I have to grab a book. Keep talking.
Okay. So
Okay. Don't look at my boobs. Okay.
So Lane, most of their town left to try and get to Fort Knox where it's supposed to be safer. But Lane's grandma wasn't able to travel and she couldn't bear leaving her. So her grandma has now passed away. And so Lane is now trying to make her way to Fort Knox by herself when she runs into Travis. Travis is from her town as well. She recognizes him, but she's leery of people. Everyone's kind of that way. And she's like, no, I'm going to continue to Fort Knox alone. Well, as she's traveling along, she runs into a little bit of a problem, and Travis shows up and helps her. And so the two of them decide that it would be safer to travel together. So they start traveling together towards Fort Knox. And then they are going to be working towards bringing a message that a drove, which a drove is like just basically a whole bunch of bad people that are traveling together that are attacking communities and unsuspecting people. And so they're trying to, but the droves are really big, so it takes them a lot longer. They're a lot slower in moving. So they're trying to get a message to Fort Knox that this drove is coming in so that they can be prepared. And yeah, it's a slow burn. It's age gap. I love it. It was so good. I love the whole sense of adventure, kind of like with high stakes.
Okay. All right. So the next book that I have on my list is Beneath Blood and Bone, and this is by Madeline Sheehan and Claire C. Riley. This is book 2 in their Thicker Than Blood series. You can read it as a standalone because it looks like there is a romance in this one. It is very focused on the romance, but the other books, even though they have romances, I think they're more like women's fiction. So I'm just going to put that out there. So I did read this one. It does have a romance because that's something that I wouldn't want to read if it didn't have a romance. But yeah, it does. It does. So this is about Eagle. Eagle runs the compound. He is our MMC. He runs this like refuge compound for people who have survived the zombie apocalypse. And he is a very cruel guy. He'll do whatever it takes to stay alive. And he'll kick anybody out. He'll force anybody in. He's got some whores, for lack of a better term. He's kind of got his own thing going on there, pimping out some people. You know, do what you gotta do to survive the apocalypse. And then we have Autumn. Autumn has been living on her own. She was taken at one point, and now she's freed, but she is living like an animal. She is dirty. She is living in a like in a cave. She wants nothing to do with people because people aren't safe, and neither are the zombies. And so she just wants to be left alone. But Eagle's people find her and they bring her to their compound, kicking and screaming. And that is when they meet, and she develops this attachment to Eagle. He is going to be her savior, but he is nobody's savior. And it's like a whole thing. Like, she doesn't talk. She's all grimy. It's a whole thing. And we all know why I liked it, because, you know, that's the whole point. She was feral. That poor girl was feral. Loved it.
Okay.
Okay.
My next one is Caitlin Can't Die by Liz Hamilton. And in this one, we have Caitlin. Caitlin is surviving the apocalypse. And basically, she just, like, all these things keep happening to her, and she should have not survived. Like, she should have died. And somehow, she just can't die. She just keeps managing to barely survive. And in this one, at the beginning, she is looking for the essential tampons, right? And so sometimes books don't really, like, in the post-apocalyptic world, address some of these basic things that would be like a big problem because it's not very, like, appealing to think about that. But Liz tackles it. They're looking for them, and it essentially gets the person that she's with killed. And so she is severely injured because in this post-apocalyptic world, there are, what do they call them? Blobs?
Mm-hmm.
They're blobs, kind of like a zombie type
Bloats. They're
situation.
bloats.
Bloats. What?
Bloats. Bloat. Like they're
Bloats.
bloated. Yeah.
Bloats. Okay, bloats.
Yeah.
That's right. I knew blob didn't sound quite right, but I knew it was
Yeah,
close.
I know. But I was like, wait. But they've
Yeah.
got the black blood and they're all bloated up. So they're bloats.
Yes. So kind of like a zombies apocalypse, but they're different. But that would be
Yeah.
a way to think of it. And so she ends up getting saved by this guy, Riley, who basically kind of drags her off to safety. And again, Caitlin can't die. But if I say too much more, I'm going to go into territories of giving things away. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. It's a comedy, though. It's a dark rom-com. It's fun.
Yes, I would call it a dark rom-com. Yes, there is definitely, like, the title, Caitlin Can't Die, there's kind of, like, humor that plays off of that. Like, yeah.
Yep. Okay. The next one I have is more of a horror, but it's post-apocalyptic, but there is a romance in it because it is Why Choose. And Pam Godwin will break your damn heart. And that is Dead of Eve by Pam Godwin. This is one of the first books that she wrote, but it is very, very good. It is post-apocalyptic. Eva survived. She's like the only woman who survived the apocalypse. So that doesn't sound like fun. And people have been getting sick and then they turn into bugs, giant ass bugs. And there's this guy who's controlling all of the bug things. And Evie meets a couple of guys. One is a priest. He's an Irish priest. He has an Irish accent if you listen to the audio. There is a prequel that you can listen to before this because it is a trilogy. And then I think the first book has audio, but the other two do not. I've been waiting for Pammy to get that on audio. I'm still waiting. I'll have to talk to Pammy about that. Anyhow, I know the second book is a little traumatic, but she makes it better in the third book. That's all I'm gonna say. So, giant bugs.
Okay, my next one is Wildflowers by Kylie Scott. We have Astrid and Dean in this one. There is a virus that is breaking out, and they're estimating it's taking out like 98% of the world's population. And so in this, Dean has somebody in the know of what's going on who's basically told him to hunker down and make a run for it out of the city. Dean and Astrid are neighbors, and he has kind of kept an eye on Astrid a little bit. They don't really ever talk though, but he's kind of liked her, like, from afar. And once he gets this information, he sees Astrid walking out and about, and it's like really, really dangerous to be out and about because there's people coming, like, you know, attacking, trying to scavenge for things, but also you can, like, die from this virus. So Dean sees her, so he kidnaps her. And this sounds a lot more traumatic than it is. Somehow Kylie writes this pretty light for the fact that he actually has a cage in his basement that he keeps her in, until he can convince her that the safest thing for her to do is to leave the city with him on the back of his motorcycle. And then things start to go downhill really quickly. And Dean is like, we have to go. And Astrid goes with him because for whatever reason, she trusts the guy that kidnapped her off the street and put her in a cage in his basement. And so this is their survival story.
It was cute. Yeah.
It was really good.
It was
I
really
don't know
good.
how, like, it sounds really bad, but it's really quite light.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He does it for her own good. And like,
Yes,
seriously,
but not
she realizes
like
that.
in a dark romance
No,
way.
not where, like, how I say that with dark romance. Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's
serious.
very light.
She
It doesn't
realizes it's to
sound
save
it.
her life. Like she realizes.
Yes.
So, and he's a good guy. He really is.
Mhm.
Okay, she just has to take a minute and breathe and think about it. Okay, so the next book is one that we've also both read. It's more fantasy, but it is post-apocalyptic, and that is The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse by Laura Thalassa. It starts with pestilence. And so in this situation, the Four Horsemen of, like, and this is probably the most popular. I'm sure a lot of you have read this already, but there is audio. There's some graphic like audio for all these now. It's great. But in this first book, pestilence is the first of the four horsemen to have shown up. The world has gone to crap, and any city that pestilence will ride his horsey through, everybody gets sick and they die. His horsey, they're all dead. And so so Sarah is a firefighter. She gets word that pestilence is on his way. She lives in Whistler. Yeah, because Winthrop is in Washington. Whistler's right above me here. So she's up there in this little town. They hear that he's coming through Canada, and they all draw straws to see who is going to try and take him out before he can hurt anybody else. And of course, Sarah draws the short straw. So she waits for him right outside of town. Everybody else has fled town. And when he comes upon her, she tries to kill him. But dude, he's an angel. He's one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And ain't gonna kill him. So he takes her and keeps her to teach her a lesson, but then he eventually falls in love with her. It's great. Love it. Love it. He is very unforgiving. Very, very unforgiving. But this one is like very, very special because he starts in Canada, goes out to Vancouver, and then comes down I-5, and like I can picture all of it. Which one should probably not do, but I can. It's great.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
Yes.
I have Protected by Claire Kent.
Okay.
You liked this one.
I did.
Okay, so in this we have Lila and Deck. This is about 2 years after Impact, and Lila is on her own. Her boyfriend has recently died. It was the two of them. She was living in this store, and her boyfriend's died, so she's on her own. She's not doing super great, but she's managing. So she's trying to scavenge for food, and she sees this group pull up and start going through the local Walmart. And so she thinks like maybe she can sneak over there with the truck, grab a few cans of food, and hightail it back. And when she does, they see her and they take her. But they take her in. They basically are like, you can come with us. Like we are not totally bad people. Well, you can come with us. So she's a little leery, but she decides like this is her only, shot at really surviving. So she goes with them, and Deck has been assigned to watch her. Logan's their leader, and he assigns Deck. So Deck, though, is mute. He does not speak, and he's just kind of this big burly guy that anytime Lila turns around, he is right there watching her. And this is that story. They're a traveling group, and they're trying to just find food, and they stay for a while, and then they move on to the next place. They don't attack people unwarranted or anything like that. They're like they're not like the Dro group that I talked about before. But yeah, so what else would I say?
I don't know. He's mute. Good. It's the best thing ever. I love it when they're mute. My husband's not, but anyhow. Okay. The next one I have is also I think it's a 6-book series. I've read them all. And this one is a lot more fun. It's more lighthearted than it is scary. And that is Fire in His Blood by Ruby Dixon. This is her Fire Blood Dragon series. So this is post-apocalyptic, and this is Dallas or Houston. It's Texas. And the world cracked, basically. We opened up the sky. It has a hole in it, and dragons came through the sky. How cool is that? So anyhow, all these dragons are floating around here. And by floating, I mean they're flying and causing mayhem and menace, and the world has gone to crap. And so in this book, we have Claudia, who is our heroine, and she is living in this fort. So all of these people that have survived, they've kind of made their own little forts, like Fort Dallas, Fort Houston, like they're around like that. So she's living in this fort, not really surviving very well. She's scavenging outside of the fort, which is a huge no-no because there you go out and you sell your stuff, and then it's a thing. There's a governor in the fort. He is not a very good guy. So when she gets caught scavenging, she gets basically, instead of like being thrown into prison, they're told, well, we have a special job for you. And so the special job for her is they actually take her to the top of this building. They put a red dress on her. She's got red hair, by the way. And the big golden dragons are attracted to red. There's golden red dragon. The huge golden, they're attracted to red. They rip the dress off of her. They tie her to a pole. They're like, sorry, you're the sacrifice. So a little while later, when the dragon lands, he shifts into a dude. Because he's been like stuck in his head and he couldn't like get out of it.
What are you reading?
You're gonna want to eat those words when you actually start to read this. Just you liked Ruby and the Ice Planets. Just trust me on this one.
I have to draw lines somewhere.
Well, not
and
there.
I feel like Dragon Shifters should be it.
Okay, guys, mark this when she gets into the Dragon Shifters. We're gonna show her this video. You give me crap, and then you fall into it and you love it, and then you become obsessed with it, and then I'm sitting here going, yeah, I told you. You made fun of me for all those years. Careful.
Okay.
Okay.
My next post-apocalyptic recommendation is going to be Waves of Fury by Kay Webster. This is part of that Surviving Earth Chronicles that I was talking about before. So this is MM, and we have Kellen and Tyler in this. And they are on the West Coast, and get this, Jessica, Waves of Fury have been coming in.
Shocker.
Yes.
I've read it, so I know. Yes, shocker.
Oh, that's right. You did read this. Okay.
I did.
So there's tsunamis are happening, and tsunamis have taken out San Francisco, and they've left Kellen and Tyler stranded in this high rise. So Kellen works in this building, and he ordered like food delivery, and Tyler was there delivering his food. They didn't have the best exchange during this when the tsunami hits, and so Tyler is stuck there with Kellen and several of the other people. Kay has no fury either in this, and she wipes out people left and right. So like, don't get attached to anybody.
Yeah.
Kay does not hold back.
No.
This is not going to be one of those feel good stories. Like,
no, and she does leave it open ended where we could get more. And I've talked to her about it. And I'm like, can you please write more? But she's just not in that headspace right now.
yes. So it's a very intense survival romance. So they are stuck in this high rise. They have to get out of the high rise, and they're going to try and make their way across the country, where then eventually we hopefully will see our two groups meet up. But don't hold your breath, basically, is what I'll say about this. So
okay.
I loved this one. Like, I don't want to say it's nice. That's weird. But sometimes it's refreshing to read a book where the author doesn't hold back like that.
Yeah, so, I enjoy that, honestly.
Yes. Like, it brings a different level of survival intensity to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you need that in post-apocalyptic.
Yes.
Not to say that doesn't happen. Like, Claire Kent has some books where some people don't make it, and, that happens. But the level of intensity in this one is just different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of different... This one is definitely different too. So this is Hips, Lips, and Apocalypse by Tyler Page. This is, it's going to sound weird when I explain it, but I promise there is seriousness to this. So the apocalypse has happened. I promise. The apocalypse has happened, and there's a whole bunch of people surviving in this bunker. So like there's this little world in this bunker, and it is like 50s style. Like all the girls wear like pink little dresses and very old-fashioned, very like 1950s in this bunker for them. And that is how they've raised these kids. Now, the way that they've raised them as well is a little different because they have their daddy program. And basically that is men who have been raised from, I think they're like 21 when they graduate, and then they're assigned these little girls not to do anything with. They're to protect them at the age of 7 when these girls go into this program. And so the whole point of this is that when the girls graduate at 18, these daddies who are older know about the world, and they go out into, like, they leave the bunker, and these girls go scavenging, and they are to protect these girls. But they're also to give them discipline and other things, when that happens. So we have Eleanor, and she has been in this DID program. I think it's DID. I can't remember what they call it, but it was like Daughters. It's a program. So she's been in it since she was 7 or 8. And she has this guy who's assigned to her, who is her quote unquote daddy. And he's older, obviously. But he ends up dying when she first gets like out of the program, and they don't have anybody else to take over to take care of her, to basically be her protector. And so that is where she gets assigned to Callan, who is her age. He is her arch nemesis, and he is just graduating the daddy program. Well, obviously, that's going to lead to a few things. There's some great revelations in this. It actually does become an MMF at some point, and it is very, very good. I know it sounds a little crazy. It is a little rom-com-ish, but not quite. It's fun. It is a fun read, but it's also dark, and it has its dark elements. So it almost has like a Lauren Beale feel to it as well in a certain way, but it doesn't. This is just Tyler. So it's Tyler's own writing, but yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, next.
Yeah.
I have so many flags going on.
Samesies.
Okay, mine is different too, and people might be surprised that I'm going to bring this up, but I received a text this morning telling me that I needed to make sure I had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't put it on mine because I told you to have it.
I did really enjoy this one though. So, and that is Dying to Love by Reese Rivers, and it is a why choose. Oh, thank you.
Yes. You're
It is a
welcome.
why choose, which is why it's odd that I would enjoy it. I talked to Reese Rivers because I feel like something that happened to this book, like she needs another book in this world to explain some stuff. And I'm not going to get the ending I was hoping with that, but she did say that she was writing another book and some things would be answered. She told us that like a year ago and made it sound like the book was coming soon. And that does not appear to be the case. So hopefully, like as soon as we know about it, you guys will know about it. So anyways, in this one, we have Kelsey. Kelsey and her best friend and some other friends were all living together in this RV. And I think they had like 2 RVs, right? And they
created a compound.
Yeah, it was basically a compound. It's very secure. They had solar panels. Like one of the guys was like really into engineering and stuff. And so they had this, they like really made a good situation for themselves in a bad situation, basically during this post-apocalyptic time. And they go out looking for something and they never come back. And she is there then by herself and she's going a little cray cray. She's talking to her best friend who's not there. She talks to the chickens like they are alive, which I do understand that.
I was going to say, huh?
Yeah. And then one day, so she's been alone. In my notes, I wrote down she's been alone over a year when not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 guys show up.
I like to eat there.
And she is very like freaked out by this. But yeah, she ends up taking the 5 guys in.
She doesn't get with all 5 guys.
She gets with a lot of them. Anyway.
It is really good. There is a story and a plot. Like it's not just boinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is actually, there's like some
serious stuff that happens.
Deep stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, next I'm just choosing from books here.
Okay.
One
I
of
think
my
I'm gonna be down to 1 at this point. I think I have 1 left.
I'm surprised. Is it one that I've read?
Nope.
Well, then you're missing one. Just saying.
No, you sent me a list of 3 books that I had to have.
You have one that you've read in the last year that I am shocked is not on this list.
What? Okay, well,
we'll talk about it in a minute. Let me get through my book, and I'll tell you. I'll tell you in a minute while I'm doing my thing. You can find it. Okay.
No, anyhow.
So one of my favorites that I reread all the time. It is a trilogy. This author's already been on our list. No, it's not Claire Kent because she's already been on the list. But
I know what it is.
I know you know what it is. The Third Storm trilogy by Liz Hamilton. This is on audio now. Came out on audio, I think, last year. But this is one of my favorites of all time when it comes, like if you had me pick my favorite post-apocalyptic, this is in the top 3. So this is about our heroine who is, and I just completely, Rowan, good Lord, I just completely blanked on her name. name. So Rowan is, so there's been these storms that are ravaging the world, and that is destroying the world, and people are dying left, right, and sideways. And so we're in the middle of the third storm at this point, and that is where Rowan is surviving with her two nephews, Bo and Lewis. They're 5. She calls them Baloo. Love it. And they're trying to get to these ships. Her ex is is in the military. There's these big ships that are going to take military personnel and those who have clearance onto these ships to survive these storms. And so he has secured a passage for her on this ship. Now he's secured passage in a way that she has to pretend to be this other military personnel who is a woman who was married with 2 children. And so she and the boys are trying to get there when they find this guy in a ditch, and the boys insist on taking this person with them. And so when they get to, like, he's unconscious, like he's injured and suffering. And so when they get to the military base, she tells them, I'm Rowan, these are my kids, and that is my husband, Sam. And so from here on out, when she gets to the ship, they have to be happy wife and happy husband. They have to play happies. He, from the minute, is like, he wakes up, he's like, nope, I'm Sam, I'm yours. And things are very, very fast paced. This is one of those books where you're in it. When you get in it, you are in it, and like it's high stakes the whole way through, and it is just action, boom, boom, boom. Love it. Love it. It's always on my top.
My maybe last book
Uh-huh.
is Hero by Claire Kent.
Okay.
Okay. So I could have done the whole Kindled series, but I tried to not do that. So I'm going to do Hero. That is book number 4 in the Kindled series. I really, really like this one. So this is about Esther and Zed. Zed and Esther are okay, so let me they're not, he is her like step uncle. So her mom, when she was 15, married her stepdad, whose brother is Zed, and he was 22 when they got married. So she's known him since she was 15. They were all living, there were like 10 of them living together, and everybody has slowly died over a couple of years. And so now it's just Esther, Zed, and Zed's little girl, Rena. And they're living in a pretty small cabin. They're out in the woods, and they're starting to run out of supplies. They've been scavenging wherever they can, but there's just nowhere left to scavenge at this point. And this is when they meet, when they run into Mac and Anna in town, who tells them about their community, or different communities that they're aware of that they could go to, where they're starting to establish schools and things like that. And they're really kind of like, they need to do something for Rena, and they don't believe they could survive. They don't have enough supplies to survive another winter. So they're like, they have to do something. So traveling though in this time is very dangerous. And so they decide to try their best, especially with little girl. And so they have to come up with a plan on how they're going to make this long journey. And there's just a lot of emotions that go with this, because Esther and Zed have lived together kind of like a married couple with a child, without any of those benefits, really. And so then their relationship kind of starts to change, and now they're going to be moving. And so there's just a lot of emotions about, like, are you with somebody because this is your person, or are you with them because there was no other options? So just a lot of like insecurities and things. And I just absolutely love this. There's also some high stakes in this one. And it was just, I just love this world so much. Okay.
Okay. How about you go find your notes on this one, and I'll talk about my last book.
I read that.
You were like, I wanted to come home and read more, and it was over.
Wilderness Within. Okay, let me go look that up.
If Mandy can't find it, we'll talk about it in a minute, but she's gonna look it up. Okay, so this last one that I have is one of my top, like, all-time favorites. It was one of my top reads last year. This is a 4-book series. What?
Well, I'm just wondering if my cover looked different, and that's why I'm not recognizing
Possibly.
it.
I've owned this since like 2020. So anyhow,
I'm looking it up. Goodreads
okay.
sometimes is slow.
Yeah. Okay, so this is,
I didn't rate it. Are you sure I read it?
You read it for convincing.
Oh, is that why I don't have a rating on it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so my favorite, but it's dark as hell, is the Juniper Unraveling series by Carrie Lake. By the way, guys, if anybody has connections with Carrie Lake, how about we all just send her emails and tell her that she needs to actually answer the messages that I've sent her so that we could actually have her in the box, because that would be great, but she doesn't. Anyhow, this is obviously post-apocalyptic. This is really confusing to talk about. So this is a 4-book series, and the first book is about these characters. The second book is about a new set of characters. The third book is the second characters and these characters. And then the fourth book is the other characters. It's just read them all in order. These consumed me last year. So this is about our heroine, who is Danny. And she is at the beginning of this book. It is where her humans live in hives, basically, and those who have survived the apocalypse. And there's these guys that come in, they're dressed all in black, and they take the boys and they take them to a compound, and they have a name too. I cannot remember what they're called. They're not good guys. So the beginning of this story, Danny's mom is shaving all of her hair off. And it keeps repeating over and over again. They will only take the boys. They will only take the boys. Well, Danny has a 3-year-old set of siblings. They're twins, a little boy and a little girl. And so her mom is doing this knowing that these guys are going to come in. They're going to kill her, because that's what they do. They kill the women. They're going to kill her and her little girl. And she is trying to save Danny's life. So Danny and her little brother get taken by this group. Now, this group, actually, they experiment on people. And she is lucky that she gets taken in by one of the doctors that is in this, that works here. He is not a good guy at all, but that's who she ends up apprenticizing, I guess is what we'll call it. And then we also have another heroine who pops in. Trust me, it's all one couple. Eventually, you'll figure it out. We have another heroine who pops in halfway through the book, and she is the daughter to a doctor. And she lives in a compound that is right next door to this facility where they do all this experimenting and torture. And she's told not to go out by the wall. She does. She's a little rebellious. And that is where she sees a boy through a little hole on the other side of the wall, and that is Six. And Six ends up climbing over the wall, and she keeps him, it keeps it very quiet, but he is one of these people who has been experimented on. And it's some good shit. Let's put it that way. Very dark and intense, but I loved it. Still think about it all the time. The third book had me crying. Nobody ever makes me cry. So, do you remember now? Okay, well, I'll talk about it.
I didn't even rate it. I wrote down Caroline and Lincoln.
Cool. Well, let me just talk about it. So, do you even remember what it was about?
No.
Okay, I'll jog your memory here. Okay,
I'm out.
So the last one that I have is A Wilderness Within by Emma Castle. This, like Mandy said, is about Carolyn and Lincoln. So, Caroline, there's a plague, there's an illness. Now, this is the thing. Emma wrote this before 2020, but the things in it are very COVID related. Like she put off putting it out because everything is very eerily similar. There is an illness that has come from China, from people eating bats in this book, that is making everybody sick. Caroline is at the Chicago airport and trying to make it home for the holidays. I think it was for the holidays.
Oh, something's coming back to me.
When the whole airport is shut down and everybody is sick and dying. They're all getting this flu. Like everything's grounded. Nobody's going anywhere. She is the only person to survive the shutdown of that. She's the only one to walk out of there. And so she's been all over on the news as the only survivor. Then you have Lincoln. He's military, but he has been guarding the president. And he is in a bunker with the president. It's not even the real president, because the president has died several times over. So this guy was just like a cabinet member or a best friend or a military guy who got elected to president just because like so many people had died. It just had fallen into his lap. And this guy has died. And so Lincoln is the last surviving person in that bunker. And so he is out one day. He leaves the bunker. He's scavenging. He runs into Caroline and he's like, well, you're the only woman I've come across. I'm going to need one of those. Let me take you. So they're both immune, but she is trying to get back home to find out what happened to her parents, her brother and sister-in-law, and her baby niece. And so they end up going on the road together to figure all that out. Loved it. Now, does it all come back to you?
Yes.
Did you love it?
I did enjoy it, yes. I don't
Yes.
know why my notes were like that.
Probably because it was for a convincing and you knew you wouldn't have to really talk about it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I
But
do that
should
sometimes
have
with
at
my
least
convincing.
written down what I rated it.
You should
I
have, but I
probably
never.
meant to go back and do that and just never did. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we just gave you a crap ton of post-apocalyptic.
So how are you going to title this video? A crap ton of post-apocalyptic book.
They're all our favorites. These are all they're good. I mean, they're just really good.
Yes.
Yeah. So, pick and choose.
Okay.
Okay.
And in the meantime, make sure you make some time in your post-apocalyptic reading to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.